At some point, you stopped being a stranger to it, not to the bird at your feeder, not to the one on the low branch that holds its ground when you walk past. Most people assume that's just a calm bird, or a bold one, or one that simply hasn't registered that you're there. It has registered you. It registered you a long time ago. And what you're watching in that stillness is not indifference, it is recognition. Birds are capable of identifying individual human faces, voices, and behavioral patterns, and storing that information across months. The research on this is not new. What rarely gets explained is what it actually looks like from your yard. Today we are going through 7 specific signs that a bird has built a memory of you, that it knows who you are, that when you enter its territory, it already knows your name. Subscribe, because by the end of this, you won't be able to look at them the same way. Sign 1. It doesn't fly when you appear. Every bird runs a continuous threat assessment. Your size, your movement, your direction of approach. It is processing all of it. Every second you are in its field of vision. Researchers call the decision point the flight initiation distance, the FID. It is the exact moment when the cost of staying outweighs the cost of escaping. Every species has a baseline, but individuals within the same species show measurably different thresholds. The birds with the lower threshold, the ones that stay, are not bolder, they are better informed. They have accumulated enough encounters with a specific individual to reach a conclusion. This one does not chase. This one does not reach. This one is predictable. Predictability is the closest thing to safety in the bird's world. It does not need to like you. It needs to be able to model you. A human it has logged 100 times and survived is not a threat in its calculation. It is a known variable. Known variables do not require a response. The next time a bird holds its ground when you walk past, what you are watching is the output of a calculation it already finished. About you, specifically. Sign 2. It tilts its head directly at you, and it holds that position longer than it holds it for anything else in the yard. Bird eyes sit on the sides of the head. This gives them a visual field of nearly 300 degrees, far wider than any human. But it also means that to bring the highest resolution part of their vision onto a single point, they have to tilt. The tilt is not a quirk. It is an act of focused attention. When a bird tilts at you, you are the subject of active visual analysis. But not everything gets the same duration of tilt. A falling leaf gets a flick, half a second, classified, dismissed. A movement in the brush gets a glance. An unfamiliar intruder gets sustained attention, with body tension attached to it. A known individual gets something different. The tilt is sustained. The body stays relaxed. It is curiosity without alarm. Studies on European robins found that birds showed significantly longer head orientation durations toward familiar humans than toward strangers. More time spent looking, not less. That extra attention is not wariness. It is recognition in progress. Sign 3. It keeps coming back to the same spot near you, not near the food, not near the water, near you. Birds are creatures of established routes. They have preferred perches, regular feeding circuits, territories they patrol in consistent patterns. These patterns are stable, but certain birds modify those routes based on the location of specific humans. They track your movements within their territory and route themselves toward you. Field researchers studying robins in British gardens documented this systematically. Certain robins appeared reliably whenever specific gardeners were present, and were absent or distant when those individuals were not there. The bird was not visiting the garden, it was visiting the person in it. The pragmatic explanation is disturbed soil, exposed insects, but the targeting of a specific human, rather than any human who digs, points to something more precise. It has mapped your movements. It has learned your schedule. It knew you were coming. Sign 4. It follows your movement, not with alarm, with steady, sustained attention. A frightened bird tracking movement looks different. The whole body changes. Feathers compress against the body. Weight shifts forward to the legs. You can read the intention to flee before the bird actually leaves. Relaxed tracking looks entirely different. Feathers loose. Body weight centered and low. Head rotating slowly, smoothly. The bird is following you the way you might follow a familiar person moving through a room you share. It is processing your behavior as information, not as threat data, as behavioral pattern data. Research on great tits and house sparrows shows that birds habituated to individual humans track those individuals significantly more than they track strangers, not because they are more alert, but because they are more interested. You are not a threat it is tracking. You are a known individual it is monitoring. There is a difference, and the bird's body makes it visible. Sign 5. It reacts to your voice differently than it reacts to other human voices. Not to sound in general, not to human voices in general, to yours. Birds are exceptional acoustic processors. They distinguish between individual calls within their own species at a resolution that outperforms trained human listeners. That same processing capacity is applied to the soundscape around them, including human voices. A study published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences followed individual mockingbirds over a 2-year period. Birds learned to recognize specific researchers who had approached their nests and retained that recognition across the full study period. The response was individual-specific, not species-specific, not human approaching. This human approaching, the same acoustic processing that lets a bird distinguish its mate's call from 30 identical calls, is applied to the humans in its environment. Your voice has been filed, and it already has a history attached to it. In a life where every sound is a potential threat signal, being classified as safe by another species is a rare categorical outcome. You pass that classification. Your voice is in a category of its own in this bird's auditory memory. Sign 6. It physically moves toward you, not toward the feeder, not toward the food you just put out, toward you specifically. This is the behavior researchers find most significant because it cannot be explained by resource proximity. The resource is elsewhere. The bird chose a location based on you. That is a different category of behavior entirely. The leading scientific explanation is passive predator deterrence. A large, known, non-threatening mammal functions as a shield. Predators avoid zones of active large animal presence. By positioning near you, the bird reduces its exposure without burning energy on active vigilance. You have become a resource in its behavioral map, not for food, for safety. But this behavior has a prerequisite that is easy to overlook. The positioning only happens after the recognition is complete, after the file is built. Sign 7. Pay attention to the birds around it when you appear. Because if one bird knows you, the ones watching it may already know about you. Birds do not keep threat assessments private. They broadcast them continuously through alarm calls, body language, and flight behavior. When one bird flees, others flee. When one bird holds, others observe the hold. The information moves through the group. The crow face recognition studies at the University of Washington demonstrated this at the group level. Crows that had never directly encountered a threatening researcher still responded to that researcher's mask, based on information passed socially from birds that had. The reverse is equally true. A bird showing no alarm response to you is sending a signal to every bird in visual range. You have a social reputation among the birds in your yard, not metaphorically, functionally. It is encoded in their group behavior. Your presence has been classified, and that classification has been shared. Birds are not passive features of your yard. They are active observers, running continuous threat models, building behavioral maps, storing individual data, and communicating assessments to each other. The bird that doesn't fly from you, the one that tilts at you longer than it tilts at anything else, the one that appears when you do, the one that moves towards you, that settled, watching stillness. That is not a coincidence. That is not a calm bird or a bold one. That is the output of a cognitive process that took time, repeated observation, and accumulated memory to produce. It is, in every measurable sense, recognition. The next time a bird stays when you walk past, notice it, because it noticed you long before that moment. Tell me in the comments, which sign have you noticed? I read everyone.